webinar. This meeting is being recorded. And I'm Allison Moat, and I'm an education specialist in the GLOBE Implementation Office. And I'm joined today by Christy Buffington, who's the Deputy Director of Training, Education, and Public Engagement, and she'll give a welcome in just a moment. And before we get started, I just want to give a couple reminders in your Zoom controls. If you could please keep your microphone muted throughout this morning's webinar. We will use the chat to ask questions, and Christy's going to monitor the chat. We will also open it up to questions at the end of today's webinar if you do want to unmute and share a question. As I mentioned, this meeting is being recorded and it will be posted on the Virtual Science Symposium webpage on the GLOBE website. And we'll also post it in the GLOBE network in the reviewer resources space. And I'll show you where those resources are located later in the webinar. So the recording will be posted later today for anyone who needs to reference it later or for those who are not able to join us this morning. And with that, I will continue on, and I'm going to turn it over to Christy Buffington to give a nice welcome.
Well, thank you so much, Allison. Thank you for your leadership in making this virtual science symposium happen, and for our funders, National Science Foundation and NASA, and NOAA as well, who are making this virtual science symposium 2026 happen, but especially to all of you as reviewers, to everyone who has submitted projects, and to the people who have mentored them. If you have been a participant or a reviewer in the past of the International Virtual Science Symposium, you'll see that there are some changes this year. We did shorten the upload time for you to share, or for participants to share their projects. And we also changed how those projects are going to be reviewed. And we did not require a report this year. So lots of changes, and these are very important for you all to know as reviewers, because that will shift how you approach looking at what has been submitted. This year, I want to share our theme, using data to explore change in your local environment. This GLOBE Data Detectives theme is something that has been throughout all of the 30 plus years of GLOBE, and we really want to celebrate collecting and looking at data for our local environments. And we have this beautiful graphic this year. We have new badges this year as well, and we're excited to share some of those in this webinar. Again, I will be behind the scenes, putting things in the chat and making a log of all the questions so that we can address those. And again, I just really want to welcome you and thank you from all over the world for taking time out to not only join our webinar today, but to also carefully look at the projects that you've been assigned to and give very constructive feedback to people of all ages this year who have submitted projects. So thank you, and I'll turn it back to you, Allison. I'm excited to learn how to review projects.
Excellent. Thanks, Christy. Thank you for being here. And thank you. Christy has provided a tremendous amount of support throughout this whole process. So this would not be happening without Christy either. So thank you. Okay, so today we gather together to learn how to access our assigned projects and a little bit more about the Virtual Science Symposium. So today we will learn about the timeline for the VSS review process. I'll also provide a little bit of an overview of the Virtual Science Symposium and project requirements, so you know what participants are expected to submit. And then we'll show you how to find your assigned projects in the GLOBE network. And then we'll talk about how to review projects, specifically using the Google feedback form. And we have some resources for you on tips for providing feedback. And we'll also talk about guidelines for awarding badges to our participants. And then finally, we will answer questions throughout. So if you have questions, please feel free to type those in the chat, and we will also answer those at the end of the webinar. So our timeline for the Virtual Science Symposium review process, on February 6th, which was last week, all STEM reviewers were added to the VSS project space in the GLOBE network. So you should have received an email invitation inviting you to the GLOBE network space last Thursday. And yesterday, everyone was emailed instructions on how to review VSS projects, and also the information about which projects you have been assigned to review. And today, February 11th, we officially kick off the review period with this webinar. We have 2 weeks to provide feedback, and the 25th of February is the deadline to submit feedback forms for projects that you've been assigned to review. That will give our team some time to review feedback, and participants will receive their feedback in early March. So I will show this timeline again at the end of our webinar, but this is just sort of a guidelines for the review period and the timeline. So I'd like to start off with providing an overview of the Virtual Science Symposium for those of you who might be new to the VSS. But the VSS is an opportunity for GLOBE researchers of all ages this year from all over the world, all GLOBE regions, to showcase their GLOBE research investigations. And through their participation, our participants have the opportunity to receive feedback from STEM professionals such as yourselves. They earn virtual badges, and they engage in the scientific process through working on their projects. We'll talk more about this, but projects include a presentation of the research or the proposed research, which could be a video, a poster, or another narrative. The projects will also include an explanation for badges that teams would like to earn. And also, they might include an optional research report. So I'll talk more about this as we go through this morning's webinar. And as Christy mentioned, we really want to thank all of you for being here. And if you aren't able to be here with us today, for watching this webinar online, but we rely on volunteers from all over the world who volunteer their time to provide feedback on research projects. So all of you scientists, educators, graduate students, all of you STEM professionals, this would not be possible without your support. So thank you so much. And you'll see that our goal is to have at least 3 reviewers provide feedback on each project. So our research teams get a lot of really great, thorough feedback on their research. And as Christy mentioned, each year the Science Symposium has a theme. This year, the theme is GLOBE Data Detectives, using data to explore change in your local environment. And this theme challenges participants to identify one or more changes that have impacted their local communities, and they're encouraged to examine these changes using multiple data sources. So all projects should include GLOBE data, either collected using GLOBE protocols or from the GLOBE database. And we also encourage participants to pair their data with NASA satellite mission data. So you might see this come through in some of the projects that you are providing feedback on. Participants can submit projects on any GLOBE investigation or proposed investigation, but this is the theme that some of our researchers have tailored their research around this year. And VSS project requirements include a submission of an abstract or summary of the research, a presentation of the GLOBE investigation or a project proposal, and an explanation for badges that participants would like to earn. As Christy mentioned, we have some changes for this year's symposium. So new this year, we offered the option for participants to submit a project proposal instead of a full investigation. And I'll talk about the difference between a full investigation and a proposal in just a moment. But some other changes this year are that all submissions, because of our shortened timeline, are submitted in English. So teams may have translated their materials into English using a translation tool. And this year, written reports are optional. So all teams should have submitted some sort of presentation, but you might also see that many teams, in addition to that, submitted an optional written report, which you will be able to review as well. And I mentioned that we've got some teams that submitted a full GLOBE investigation. Others may have submitted a project proposal. So I want to talk briefly about the difference between those two types of submissions. Regardless of which type of project people submitted, they should include a narrative or a presentation. If they submitted a full GLOBE investigation, their presentation should include a title, an abstract, an introduction, a materials and methods section, an explanation of the GLOBE data and results, and a discussion, conclusions, and citations, in addition to describing what badges they would like to earn. The other option is for research teams that might be in the early stages of a research project or just starting to think through a research project. They may have submitted a project proposal. And for proposals, you will probably see the word proposal in the title of the presentation, but the presentation should also include a title and an abstract that describes their proposed research. And then these teams will also be including their research questions, a description of their proposed study site, a data collection plan, which also should include GLOBE data, any background or supporting information, expected outcomes or goals, citations, and badge descriptions. So these are the two options for research teams this year. And I'll show you how you can tell what the submissions are in the GLOBE network. So you'll also be able to see that in the GLOBE network. So as I mentioned, all teams should have submitted a presentation, and we are offering a wide variety of options for how research teams present their work. The main goal is that the team should be communicating their science through their presentation. So the presentation may be an ArcGIS story map, which you will see a link to in the project if this is the presentation type that the team submitted. We also have posters, video presentations, or other narrative formats. So some teams who created a research proposal might be submitting a proposal style format through a template that we provided. And all of our projects are on the GLOBE website and also in the GLOBE network to offer us a way to easily search for projects and interact with projects. So I have a screenshot of the GLOBE network here on the left. And the GLOBE network, if you're new to this space, is a virtual community space that includes GLOBE data collection e-trainings. And it also includes virtual events like the 2025 GLOBE annual meeting. But all VSS projects have been included or are included in the 2026 VSS project space, which you can see over here on the left menu of this screenshot. So as you start exploring projects, you can use hashtags and other search tools to explore the projects. And right now, only the STEM reviewers are in the VSS project space. We will add participants to this space after the review period concludes on February 25th. So we are going to talk about how to look at projects in the GLOBE network and how to find your assigned projects. So here on the screenshot on the left, I'm showing an example of what a project looks like in the GLOBE network if you click on one of those projects in the VSS space. And each project page includes the title of the project at the top, and then an article ID number. This number is very important because it's a unique number assigned to each project that will allow you to search for the project in the GLOBE network. So Each reviewer was emailed a list of article IDs with which they can search for projects in the GLOBE network. And then you'll see what the submission type is. So here's where you'll be able to see if it's a research poster, a report, or potentially a research proposal. So this example, the researchers have included a poster and a report. Then you'll be able to see the participant names, the mentors, the grade if the participants are in school, and then the organization or school that the researchers are associated with, followed by the abstract. Additional details, when you scroll down on the GLOBE network, you will see the poster and any associated files with the project. So you'll want to open and review these files as you're providing feedback. So this particular example includes both a poster and a written report. And then you'll also see there's a link to the project on the GLOBE website. So in addition to our research projects being in the GLOBE network, they're also published on the GLOBE website. And then finally, at the bottom, you'll see the badges that each team has requested. Teams can request up to 3 badges. And you'll also see the protocols that were used in the research projects. So clicking on any of these hashtags will bring up projects that also requested the same badges or use similar protocols. So these tools are different ways you can search and explore the GLOBE network. And you'll also see which region the project is from. Finally, at the bottom of the screen, there are some options for leaving emojis to give a thumbs up or a heart, other ways to interact with the projects. So you are welcome to engage with other projects, but we ask that you complete a project feedback form for the projects that you have been assigned to review. And that feedback form was sent in an email to you and is also linked in the comments of each project. So let's talk about how to find your assigned projects in the GLOBE network. And Christy, let me know if there are any questions that I should address as we go.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Allison. We do have a couple questions from people just about this email that we just referred to. So yesterday we sent out an email with the subject line, GLOBE Virtual Science Symposium, STEM Reviewer Instructions and Assigned Projects. And some people have said that they didn't find it. So if that's the case, go ahead and send me a private message in the chat so that I can look through and confirm the email address that we have on our spreadsheet and make sure that we did send it to to your email. So I just wanted to, if you do have questions, just let me know, but send me a direct message, please. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Christy. And I will also show our email address at the end of this presentation. So if you're having any trouble, you can also email us and I will follow up right after this webinar. Okay, so let's talk about how to find your assigned projects in the GLOBE network. So yesterday, we went through and tagged each reviewer in the projects that you have been assigned in the comments section. So if you have already joined this 2026 VSS project space, you will have received a notification that you were tagged in a comment. So to see the notifications, you'll click on the little bell icon in the top right corner of the GLOBE network. And you should see a comment from a member of our team, either myself, I'm Allison Moat, or Christy Buffington or Hannah Mayer. And the comment will say that one of us mentioned you in a comment. So if you click on that notification, you will be able to access the project directly in the GLOBE network. So if you are already in this 2026 VSS project space, you should see a notification come through. If you are not, or if you do not see a notification, you can also search for your assigned projects using the article ID number that were emailed to you yesterday on February 10th. So each project has a unique number, and this number is called an article ID. It can be used if you copy it and paste it into the search bar, it will pull up the project. Um, and so, as Christy mentioned, if you did not receive an email from us yesterday, you can either send her a private message right now, or you can email us and we will follow up later today. So everyone should have at least 3 projects to review. And we are using a project review form, which is a Google form to review projects. This form was emailed to you yesterday. It's also linked in the Globe Network space. And I'll walk through the form a little bit with you this morning. But we want to thank the US Globe office for sharing their feedback tools with us. This form is adapted from the US office's Student Research Symposium feedback form. And it's designed to, unlike previous virtual science symposiums, it's designed to provide really a holistic way for research teams to get feedback on their projects. So it includes a lot of open response fields for you to provide some feedback for our research teams. So we ask that each reviewer submits a project review form for each project that you have been assigned. And the first fields that you will enter are your email address and your name. So please enter the email address that you used when you signed up to volunteer as a reviewer. And please also include your full name so that we can match you to your projects. Other information that you will enter in the project review form are the project title and ID. So the project title can be copied directly from the project page in the Virtual Science Symposium project space. So you can copy the title from the top into the review form, the project's exact title. And we also ask that you copy the article ID of the project. This is how we keep track of all of our projects. So please, you can highlight it in the Globe Network and copy it and paste it directly into the feedback form. And then I'm showing a couple screenshots of what the other fields on the project review form look like. And thank you, Christy, for putting the link to this feedback form in the chat. But you'll see that there are different topics that you can leave feedback on. So starting with the research question, and then there are some kind of areas that we prompt you to focus on. So for the research question, you can provide feedback on the objectives. Are the objectives focused? Are they clear? Are they answerable? Is the research question answerable? The research methods, so you can provide feedback on the GLOBE protocols or data that the team is using, looking at if the team defines what is being measured or what will be observed or measured, and the quality of their research plan and how well designed the research plan is. There's also an area to leave feedback on the results or expected results. So does the team show or summarize observations through a variety of formats? So through text, graphics, mathematics, statistics, or illustrations? And are their interpretations supported by data? And then finally, we've got an area of leaving feedback on the discussion or conclusions. So does the team put the findings in context? Do they describe future plans or research possibilities? And do they acknowledge the scientific literature that they used for their background research, other data and or local knowledge? And then finally, leaving feedback on the presentation itself. So is the poster or video logically organized? Are the visualizations clear? Does the team demonstrate an understanding of the science and local relevance to the community? So this feedback form provides a format for you to leave some open feedback for each research team. And we have some resources linked to the reviewer resources space of the GLOBE Network. The first one are just some general tips for providing feedback. So overall, we want our researchers to have a positive experience and get some good quality feedback on their work. So the most important thing is to be positive and provide constructive feedback. Along with that, we ask that you highlight the strengths of the research or the proposed research and offer clear and specific suggestions. So it's great to offer areas of improvement in ways that the team can specifically think about ways to improve their work. We ask that you encourage scientific thinking and tailor feedback to the participant. So as we mentioned this year, the VSS is open to all ages. So you'll see projects from primary students through postgraduate students. So we've got GLOBE observers who have submitted projects or project proposals to the VSS this year. So you'll want to think about the age of the participant and framing your feedback to the age of the researchers. You'll also want to think about, this year all projects were submitted in English. English might not be the first language of the participant. So providing feedback in simple language and just being mindful of the fact that all of our participants are submitting their research from all over the world, which is really an incredible thing. And then finally, offering encouragement. So all of the teams you'll see once you start looking at the projects have worked incredibly hard. So reinforcing the effort they put into their work while also highlighting potential for improvement. And then one more piece of, or one more resource that we have for you is a feedback guide with examples of feedback that you might use. So this document is also linked in the resources. It's a little bit more specific and it follows the categories that are on the feedback form that you'll submit. So there are things to look for the research question, for example, and tips for leaving good feedback. Each section also includes examples of feedback that you might include. You are welcome to use this feedback and edit it, adapt it to your own voice and to the project itself. But this resource is also in the reviewer resources space in the GLOBE network. Okay, so those are some tips and resources that we have for leaving some general feedback. Another thing that you will see in the feedback form is a space to award badges. This is one of the last fields that you'll fill out in the project review form. So you can see a list of the badges on the feedback form, and you will also see on the project page in the GLOBE network the badges that each team has requested. So for example, the example on the screen, they selected the I Work with Satellite Data badge, the I Am an Earth System Scientist badge, and I Am a Data Scientist badge. So the research teams have selected badges they would like to earn, and you may award them with up to 3 badges based on your evaluation of their work. So some of our teams will be describing how their work on the project earned each badge requested. So you can award up to 3 badges, but focused on the badges that each team has requested. And there's also a space to provide feedback on the badges that you are awarding. And so I'll describe the badges in a little, I'll summarize the badges, and then the link to all of the badge descriptions is also available in the reviewer resources space. But as Christy mentioned, we have new badges for this year. All research teams will receive the I Am a GLOBE Researcher badge for their effort and participation in this year's Virtual Science Symposium. And then participants can apply for up to 3 additional badges when they upload a project. And so the badges that are available, the new badge for this year is the I Work with Satellite Data badge. And this badge is aligned with our GLOBE Data Detectives theme. So for teams that incorporate NASA satellite mission data, to investigate their research question and also explain how that satellite data is incorporated into their research project and is used to answer the research questions. This badge may be awarded to. And some of our other badges, so we have 9 badges, which is very exciting. There's the I Am an Earth System Scientist badge. And this is for teams that clearly describe the interconnectedness of the Earth's spheres on the research question and applying multiple GLOBE protocols or GLOBE protocol bundles to investigate the research question. For this one, research teams should clearly explain the dynamic and interconnected nature of Earth systems and processes that influence and depend on one another through the analysis and interpretation of data. The I Work with a STEM Professional badge is for teams that clearly describe a collaboration with a STEM professional that enhanced the research methods, contributed to improved precision, and supported more sophisticated analyses and interpretation of results. The I Am a Problem Solver badge is for participants who learn how they can be part of possible solutions to the problems they are investigating. So this badge may be awarded to projects that demonstrate how GLOBE researchers are helping to use Earth system science for a better world. And the I Make an Impact badge is for teams that describe how a local issue led to the research questions or makes connections between local and global impacts. The researchers should clearly describe or show how the research contributed to a positive impact on their community through making recommendations or taking action based on their findings. The I Am a STEM Storyteller badge is for projects that describe or show how the researchers shared the story of their research in a creative way. This could be through a dramatic interpretation, a blog post, an Instagram post, or any other creative format. The I Am an Engineer badge is for participants who use participant-generated sources of evidence to describe an engineering problem and look at solutions through engineering or optimizing a design to address a real-world problem. And finally, the I Am a Data Scientist badge is for projects that include in-depth analyses of data downloaded from the GLOBE database, as well as the participants' own data sources. If new data were collected, the researchers should discuss limitations of these data, make inferences about past, present, or future events, or use data to answer questions or solve problems in the represented system. And the I Am a Collaborator badge is for participants who collaborate with students from the same school or organizations around the world, whether it be a school or other collaborators. They should describe how the collaboration led to advantages in their research.
And Allison, we'll stop there for 2 questions that came
Okay.
up regarding badges. The first question, and you can see these in the chat as well. If a team put NA for not applicable in the badges requested section, do we still award them?
That is a great question. So some teams may not have selected badges when they submitted their projects. If you feel like their work is deserving of a badge, you may award them with a badge. So you can award a badge if you feel like the team really earned a badge.
Excellent. And in the feedback example on the very last page, there are some examples for badges where you're looking for areas of excellence, and then you're providing some good feedback where there's clear justification for awarding a badge. And there's a tip that badges should celebrate strengths and not compensate for weaknesses. There's some feedback examples, such as, awarded I Am a Data Scientist badge for a creative and thorough approach to data analysis. So that could be an example. The second question in the chat, is it possible to give a badge that the group didn't request, but there is evidence in the project that they deserve it? And I do want to, some of these projects could have earned all of the badges. And we are thinking that there's the one badge that everyone receives for participating, and then there's up to 3 badges. So I'll have you handle that question, Allison, about awarding badges that the submitters did not specifically request.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I would say, as Christy mentioned, some of these projects are deserving of every single badge that we offer. So I would say first look at the badges that the team requested. And if they requested 3 badges and you feel that they are deserving of those badges, you may award those badges. But we want to avoid giving teams every single badge. So I would say sort of prioritize where you think the strengths of the project are, and starting with the badges that the team requested. If they didn't request badges or maybe only requested 1 or 2 badges, you can award an additional one if you feel like they have earned it. Um, but I would start with the 3 that the team requested, since those are their top priorities or goals for their research.
Excellent. Yes, thank you for explaining that. And I do want to point out that for those of you who have been reviewers in the past, you were awarding with a rubric projects and reading the reports and issuing whether there were also stars, a 1 star, a 2 star, 3 star, and 4 star. And in the prior years, this was called judging. We're not having judging this year. This is reviewer comments and feedback for these badges. And so, and yes, students are and not just students, people of all ages can submit this year. And those badges have really clear instructions on what those projects look like and really where people are excelling in their work related to those badges. Um, Another comment came up in the chat, a comment, and then also a question. So the comment is, many times I've been given badges different than the ones that they have been requested because I think that um, giving it is better gained than the ones that they think that they deserve. And I think that that's just yes, you're trying to really think from a reviewer as a STEM professional, what it is that they participants might have earned. That's different than what they think that they had earned. So you can also share that in your reviewer comments. I hope that that answers that comment or addresses it. And then the second is a question. Will the projects receive comments from other reviewers, like a second reviewer? And yes, we have assigned 3 to 4 reviewers per project. And so what we will be doing is collecting all 3 forms. We do ask that you fill out the Google form, and those forms are going to be made into one file at the end of the review period and provided to the mentor, or in the case of adult participant, will be providing those reviews to whoever submitted. So, and then a follow-up question is there any word limit in these projects? As far as the submissions, no, there is not a word limit. And as far as the reviews, we do ask that you try to keep your comments fairly brief, but not to one sentence. There has been reviews in the past that said could have been better. Well, that isn't very constructive. So instead, really think about what is helpful and necessary and kind and thoughtful, so that these future scientists, or for, for example, it might be the first time an educator is doing something with GLOBE and you are giving them feedback of, hey, have you thought of this? And what about this angle that you could take in your project? Really think about your role as reviewers in mentoring the next generation of science and STEM professionals. Okay, so the STEM reviewer themselves will receive a certificate. All of you will receive certificates. However, the STEM reviewers themselves will not be receiving badges. Okay, so I hope that we have addressed these questions. And now the part that we really are asking you to do is engage with the GLOBE network so that you can find your projects. There was a comment earlier in the chat that some of the projects were difficult to find or maybe had some missing content on the GLOBE website. And we are aware of some issues like with that. So what we have done is, and Allison has done really, has copied all of the projects from the GLOBE website where the student research report page is, and has put them into the GLOBE network. So that is a much easier way for you to find your projects that you're reviewing. And now it's time for Allison to show us how we do that in the GLOBE network. And I will put in the chat the link to the GLOBE network and all the reviewer resources that are there. Okay, go for it, Allison.
Excellent. Thanks, Christy. Let me see what my next slide is. So let me, as Christy said, I'll give you a little tour of the GLOBE network. So starting with the reviewer resources section, we've got you'll see little tabs here at the top. And the resources that I showed are included in the reviewer resources section. So resources for providing participant feedback are here. Those general tips for giving effective feedback, the project review feedback guide and examples, and then some examples of actual feedback that STEM reviewers have given for the US Student Research Symposium, if you would like to see some great examples of how others have framed their feedback. And then I've got the badge descriptions linked here. And then also, in case you need it, I have linked the slides from this morning's webinar. I'll also post today's recording in this space. And again, this is all in the reviewer resources space. We also have the project review form linked here if you need to access it easily. And then there's a screenshot with a kind of quick reference of how to access or how to find those projects that you have been assigned to review. So all of the information that we've covered in this morning's webinar should also be in the project review space within the GLOBE network. You can also use the space to ask questions. I see that there are 9 questions that have popped up since we started this morning, which is great. I will be monitoring this. Thank you, Jamie, for supporting others. You all are great and great resources for each other. So I will take a look at these after this morning's webinar, and we will respond to any questions that come up as you are reviewing projects. So this space is just for reviewers, for you to ask questions, for you to access resources and things like that. You'll also be able to see in the member space who your fellow reviewers are, which is pretty cool. I gave each of you a badge in Mighty Networks in this GLOBE network space for your work as a reviewer. So you should be able to see those on your profile. And then all of the projects, as Christy mentioned, are in the 2026 VSS project space. So you will need to join this space in order to see the projects. And they are all included in this middle project tab. So if you click on that, you'll see a list of every project that has been submitted to this year's VSS. And so here is where you can, this little bell is where you can check your notifications to see if you've been tagged in a comment. So that's the top right. And you can also use this search bar to search for projects. So this is where you would copy the article ID from your email that was sent to search for projects. And when you type an article ID in there, it should filter out the projects and give you the project you're looking for. So for example, here is one example of a project. We've got the title here at the top. We have the article ID of the project, and this project has a poster associated with it. And then you can read the abstract. You can see the poster here, and you can click on it and it will expand, but you can also download the poster if you want to zoom in on different areas. So underneath the poster or presentation, you should also be able to download that poster. And then here are the badges requested and the globe region. So over here on the right, you can see the comments and the reviewers who have been tagged for this particular project, along with the link to the project review form. So we ask that each of these reviewers fill out a project review form for each project. All right, and then some other helpful tools are the hashtags. I'll just show you that very quickly if you want to explore other projects. But if you click on any of the hashtags, for example, the globe region, if I click on North America, it will filter out all of the projects that are from the North America region. So we ask that you prioritize the projects that you have been assigned to review, but we also invite you to explore all of the great research projects and proposals that have been submitted by our teams from all over the world. There's a lot of really excellent work and effort that's put in here. If you do notice any typos, I'm sure there are typos or things that will come up because we are humans entering this information. Please let us know and we will fix them. So happy to fix errors or issues as they come up. Okay. And I will carry on and then we'll stick around for questions as well. But I know somebody asked about badges for reviewers. We do have this beautiful badge for reviewers. So we did have a badge designed for you. So for everyone who reviews at least 3 projects by the February 25th deadline, you will receive a virtual badge and a certificate of appreciation. And this is, you know, the least we can do to thank you for volunteering your time. We really, really appreciate all of you. And if you have any questions or issues with your assigned project, including if you are not able to review your projects, if you could please let us know by emailing, the VSS at nasaglobe.org email address as soon as possible to let us know. If you can't find your projects or think that something is not correct with your project, let us know right away and we will fix it. And if you have a conflict of interest with a project, so if you know the researchers, for example, let us know and we will change your assigned projects. And finally, I just want to show you a couple quotes from some of our amazing participants from years past. This is a quote from a student. Just so you know, our researchers really, really appreciate your feedback, and this really makes a difference in their lives as researchers. They said, participating was an unforgettable experience that has shown me the importance of science and sparking curiosity as a young student, and the joy of connecting with other young scientists makes the journey of discovery even more exciting and inspiring. And from one of our reviewers from last year, talking about how it was a rewarding experience. I'm thrilled to have witnessed the students' high level of intellectual curiosity and innovation. Seeing that the future belongs to such a bright and talented group of young minds is inspiring. And I just want to echo that. And I think you'll see this as you explore projects that have been submitted this year. So I will leave you again with the timeline for this year. The big one is that the review period opens today, closes on February 25th. So please submit your feedback forms by February 25th so that we can provide feedback to our participants in early March and celebrate their hard work. And here is a link to the Virtual Science Symposium website and our email address again if you have any questions or want to follow up with anything. So with that, I'll open it back up for questions, and thank you once again for spending your time with us this morning.
Yes, thank you so much, Allison. This was very clear, and thanks to the people that shared in the chat that they thought the instructions were clear. We do know that we gave you a lot of instructions, so you may have questions. So this email that you see here, vss@nasaglobe.org, is the best way to reach us if you have questions. Some additional questions came up, and some have to do with navigating in the GLOBE network. I also have this experience in the GLOBE network where I might be in one place and I want to get out of it so I can find something else. And in this, two people in the chat say they are only seeing participant resources and projects, and they're not seeing reviewer resources. So I want you to try a couple things. If you are kind of stuck in the participant resources page, look to see if there is a menu at the left where you can see all of the Virtual Science Symposium or VSS resources that are there and projects. And then also look to see at the top right if you have a little X. Sometimes when you're in a space in the GLOBE network in Mighty, you have to click the X at the top corner, and then that will get you back to where you need to be. Allison, do you have any hints about navigating when you are in Mighty in the
Yeah,
GLOBE
so
network?
thank you. And thank you all for letting us know what questions you have and the challenges you're encountering. I just put two direct links in the chat. One is a link to join the reviewer resources space. The other is a link to join the VSS project space. So if you click on those links, you should go directly to the space. And then once you're in the GLOBE network, you should see on the left menu all of the spaces that you are in. I have a lot more here than you will have because I'm in a lot of spaces. But within the Virtual Science Symposium space, there's participant resources, reviewer resources, and the 2026 VSS project space. The most important ones for you as reviewers are the reviewer resources and the 2026 VSS projects. Both of those links are in the chat. So I would recommend trying those links if you do not see these two spaces in your GLOBE network.
That is a fast way to solve that, Allison. Thanks for being so nimble. But yes, it's just great. Click on those links and join those spaces, then you'll be able to see all three. And for a few people who had to join later, I just wanted to review that. Look in your email inbox. There was an email sent yesterday that gave you which projects you were assigned. So please look for that email. I know that you get lots of emails. So hopefully that's there. We are aware of one person who didn't get that email yesterday, and we're going to be following up after this webinar. There is another question about the type of submissions. Now, this is really important when you are reviewing your projects. Think about what age group are submitting those projects, because you might be looking at something submitted by first graders one time and then some submitted by an adult the next time that you're reviewing. So there was a question from Jamie that said, I noticed an undergraduate submission in there. Can we search for graduate and post-grad submissions? So I think that kind of search is best done on the actual Globe website, but I wanted to see what you thought, Allison, first.
That is a good question, and we're always learning new ways to search, right? For the future, that is maybe a hashtag we could add. Um, I think let's try it out. If we typed middle, oops, for example, um, so if you're searching for like middle school projects or something that's already listed on a project page, you can try using the search bar to search for keywords like that. So for example, middle school, secondary school, primary school, those will come up in the searches. Um, for postgraduate, we don't really have a tag for that, unfortunately. So those would be harder to search for in the Globe network itself. But I think going to the search tools on the Globe research reports page is probably the best way to do that. But good idea for the future, for future us.
And then evaluating more projects. Okay, so here's where it gets tricky. We encourage you to go through projects and put in comments. Allison just showed us where the comment field is on the right. So Allison, maybe you can open one of the
Mm-hmm.
projects and show that comments. And you can see that this is where we decided that is a good place to tag the reviewers so that you know what projects you are assigned to. We are having projects have 3 to 4 reviewers, and the reviewers will fill out the project review form that you see linked there in the comments. Now, if you want to comment on other projects, you can do so as long as they're positive, constructive comments here in the comment field. But we do ask that you limit your review to only those that you have been assigned to. And there is a reason for that. In 2 weeks, on our end, we go through all these comments and we actually have some scripts that go and compile those comments that were put in the Google Forms into a very clean looking feedback form that goes to the participants. So it wouldn't be fair if some submissions got reviews from 10 reviewers and others only had reviews from 3 reviewers. So that's a long way to answer that question. We just ask that you stick to the ones to which you've been assigned and then give constructive comments here in the Mighty space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you for that question. And there's some tools here that you can use for comments too, like emojis. You can also, at the bottom of the screen, um, click on different emojis as well. And I will point out that the search tool is pretty handy. So if you know a Globe educator who submitted a project, you can search for them. So I'm going to use my friend Dario, I think, who is here today as an example. So you can type somebody's name and it should filter out. So here's a great project submitted by Dario and his collaborators and his upper primary students. So this Globe Network is a really great way to explore the great work of others around the world in our Globe community and give them some love. So you can give them emojis, words of encouragement here in the comments section. We will be adding all of the participants who sponsored these projects to this space so they can share it with their research teams. Thanks for letting me use you as an example, Dario. Always such great work from all of our community members around the world.
And as far as the projects being published or compiled in a project book, unfortunately, we don't have the funding to do that. That's a great idea. However, this space here in the Globe Network and the Globe website on the that's hosted by NASA are two amazing places to have this collection of all of these projects. Well, I really want to thank everyone for their time. I know that we are after the hour, and we did want this webinar to just last an hour, but we're so glad that you are all here. And we're going to go ahead and stop the recording, and then we will stay on. Allison and I would stay on. And then I also want to give a shout out in the background here on this webinar is Hannah Mayer. And Hannah works with me here at the University of Alaska Fairbanks and made the scripts possible to send out all of those emails yesterday. We were very busy tagging projects and sending emails out. So thank you for all the work that goes into this and everyone behind the scenes.